I never thought my own blood could taste like betrayal. But there it was, sharp and metallic on my tongue as Brian's fist connected with my jaw for the third time that night. "Faggot," he snarled, his breath hot and reeking of cheap beer he'd swiped from Dad's garage fridge, his eyes wild like a cornered animal's. Except he was the one doing the hunting. In that split second, as stars exploded behind my eyelids and the basement floor rushed up to meet me, I realized the real monster wasn't the darkness. It was the brother who'd sworn to protect me since we were kids building forts out of couch cushions. We grew up in Elmwood, Ohio, a nowhere town sandwiched between cornfields and rusted factories, the kind of place where Friday nights meant high school football under floodlights and Sunday mornings were all about church potlucks with Jell-O salads that jiggled like guilty secrets. Our house was a split-level rancher on Maple Street, the paint peeling like old regrets, Dad buried in his mechanic's shop 12 hours a day, Mom fluttering around her real estate listings like a bird with clipped wings. Brian was the golden boy, quarterback for the Elmwood Eagles, homecoming king in his senior year, the kid everyone said was going places. Me? Liam Harper, 17 and counting the days till graduation like a prisoner scratching tallies on a cell wall. I was the quiet one, the artist sketching in the margins of my history notebook, the boy who volunteered at the animal shelter because dogs didn't judge you for stealing glances at the cute guy in the produce aisle at Kroger. It started small, the way these things always do in families like ours. Cracks in the foundation you ignore until the whole house shakes. I was 15 when I first really knew, that I wasn't like the other guys in the locker room, pounding fists and trash-talking about girls they'd never touched. It hit me during a sleepover at my best friend Tyler's, watching some dumb rom-com on Netflix. The lead actor, tall, brooding, with eyes like storm clouds, leaned in for a kiss, and my stomach flipped, not with the awkward nausea the others faked, but with a hunger that clawed up my throat. I excused myself to the bathroom, splashed cold water on my face, and stared at my reflection until it blurred. Gay. The word echoed like a curse in that fluorescent light, but it felt like coming home. I buried it deep, of course. Elmwood wasn't exactly a rainbow flag parade. The closest we'd come to progress was when Mr. Jenkins, the biology teacher, got fired for inappropriate conduct with the wrestling coach. Whispers said it was more than just late-night strategy sessions. Kids like me learned quick. Keep your head down, your mouth shut, your heart locked in a shoebox under the bed. But Brian? He sniffed it out like a bloodhound on a scent. Maybe it was the way I dodged his invites to double dates with his cheerleader girlfriend, Sarah, or how I'd linger too long fixing his jersey before games, my fingers brushing the fabric like it was holy. One night, after a particularly brutal loss to the Riverton Rams, Brian had thrown 3 interceptions, his helmet slamming into the turf like thunder. He stormed into my room, still in his pads, sweat dripping like accusations. "You think you're better than this," he hissed, shoving my sketchbook off the desk. Pages fluttered like wounded birds, drawings of boys from magazines, idealized and anonymous, their faces soft in pencil strokes. He snatched one up, a portrait of a guy with windswept hair laughing under city lights. My fantasy escaped from this corn syrup hell. "What the fuck is this, Liam? You drawing your boyfriend, or some shit?" My heart jackhammered, but I played it cool, snatching the paper back. "It's art, Brian. Chill. Not everything's about you." He laughed, but it was ugly, jagged. "Art. Right. You're such a pussy. Always have been." He grabbed my collar, yanking me close enough to smell the turf on him. "If Dad finds out you're whatever this is, he'll disown your ass. And me? I'll make sure no one forgets it." That was the first warning shot, the one that left bruises on my arms for a week, hidden under hoodies. From then on, it was a slow siege. His jokes in front of Mom, loud enough to sting. Liam's probably mooning over that new barista at the diner, huh? The way he'd accidentally shoulder-check me in the hallway, or delete my playlist because that emo crap's for girls. I told myself it was brotherly ribbing, that he was just stressed about college scouts. But deep down, I knew Brian wasn't protecting the family name. He was guarding his own fragile throne. Then came Alex. God, Alex Rivera, 17, transfer from Chicago, with skin like caramel and a smile that could crack open the sky. He showed up mid-junior year, sliding into the empty seat next to me in AP Lit like he'd always belonged. Hey, I'm Alex. You the one who draws those killer murals in the art hall? His voice was low, accented with that South Side lilt, and his eyes, dark, endless, locked on mine like he saw straight through the armor. We bonded over Vonnegut and vinyl records, trading mixtapes in the parking lot after school. He was out, unapologetically, with a pride pin on his backpack that made the jocks snicker but never touch him. Something about his dad's job at the sheriff's office kept the wolves at bay. Our first real talk was under the bleachers after a pep rally, the bass from the marching band thrumming through the metal like a heartbeat. You ever feel like you're drowning in plain? He asked, passing me a warm Coke from his pocket. Like everyone's sipping vanilla and you're craving the whole damn rainbow sundae. I laughed, too loud, nerves jangling. Every day? But hey, at least the cornfields look pretty in the fall. He tilted his head, studying me. You don't have to hide here, Liam. Not with me. And just like that, the shoebox under my bed cracked open. We started small, study sessions that stretched into midnight texts, his hand brushing mine over shared notes. Then, one rainy Tuesday, he kissed me in the art supply closet, paint fumes thick in the air, our breaths mingling like forbidden smoke. It was soft, tentative, his lips tasting of cherry chapstick and possibility. I've wanted this since day one, he whispered against my mouth, and I believed him, because in his arms, Elmwood faded to a distant hum. But secrets in a town like ours are like dry tinder, one spark, and it's inferno. Brian caught us a month in, tailing me to the lake on a dare from his buddies, thinking I was sneaking smokes. We were on that dock, the one where fireflies danced like living stars, Alex's head on my shoulder as the sun bled into the water. I heard the gravel crunch before I saw him, and when I turned, there he was, phone out, filming, his face twisted in disgust. Smile for the family album, little bro, he called, voice dripping venom. We bolted, Alex's truck kicking up mud as we peeled out, but the damage was done. That night, Brian cornered me in the garage, replaying the video on loop. Our silhouettes blurred but unmistakable, the intimacy a knife in the gut. You disgusting freak, he spat, deleting it only after making me watch every second. This ends now. You tell Alex it's over, or I send this to Dad, Mom, the whole goddamn school. Coach, everyone. His eyes were red-rimmed, not from tears but rage, the entitled prince dethroned by his own shadow. I nodded, throat closing like a noose, and the next day at school, I ghosted Alex, ignored his texts, skipped lunch, buried myself in charcoal sketches of shattered hearts. He cornered me after calculus, hurt flashing in those beautiful eyes. What the hell, Liam? Did I do something? It's not you. I choked out, glancing over my shoulder for Brian's spies. It's complicated. Family shit. He searched my face, then nodded, slow and wounded, walking away with shoulders slumped. That was the first real cut, deeper than any bruise. Brian's bullying ramped up after that, a private war in our shared bathroom mirrors and late-night whispers through thin walls. He'd leave notes in my locker, fairy boy, tucked under my books where only I could find them, or accidentally spill Gatorade on my jeans during family dinners, smirking as Mom fussed. Boys will be boys, she'd sigh, oblivious, her realtor smile cracking at the edges. Dad just grunted from behind his paper, lost in engine schematics. I endured it, telling myself it was temporary, that college would be my out, maybe an art program in Columbus, far from Maple Street's chokehold. But Brian smelled weakness like chum in the water. The outing came on the worst day imaginable, prom week, when Elmwood High buzzed with tux fittings and corsage conspiracies. I'd planned to go solo, sketching the couples from the shadows, but Alex, stubborn, sweet Alex, had cornered me in the hall with a plea. One night, Liam. No hiding. Just us, dancing like we don't give a fuck. His hand on my arm burned through my sleeve, and against every screaming instinct, I said yes. We met at the lake first, that dock our sanctuary, trading promises under the emerging stars. Whatever happens, he said, forehead to mine, you're worth it. Prom was a glittering trap, streamers in school colors, Sweet Caroline, blaring as kids paired off like Noah's Ark rejects. Brian was there with Sarah, king of the court in his rented tux, shotgunning beers in the parking lot beforehand. I spotted him across the gym, laughing with his posse, but his eyes found me. dancing too close to Alex, our hands linked defiantly. The music shifted to something slow, Ed Sheeran crooning about castles crumbling, and Alex pulled me into the throng, his breath warm on my neck. For 5 minutes, I forgot. The world narrowed to his cologne and the sway of our hips, a stolen Eden in polyester purgatory. Then my phone buzzed, a group text from Brian's crew, a screenshot of that lake video, time-stamped from months ago, captioned, "Harper's little secret." Who's the other queer? It spread like wildfire, gasps rippling through the crowd, heads turning, whispers sharpening to stares. Sarah's shriek cut through the din. "Brian, what the hell is this?" But he was already barreling toward us, face purple with feigned shock. "You lying sack of shit," he roared, shoving Alex hard enough to send him stumbling into the punch bowl. Plastic cups shattered like glass hearts, red liquid pooling like blood on the scuffed floor. "You think you can parade this freak show in my school?" The chaperones swarmed, Principal Hargrove barking for calm, but it was too late. Phones were out, filming the chaos, me frozen, Alex wiping punch from his shirt, Brian looming like a storm cloud. "He's my brother," Brian yelled to the gawking mob, voice cracking with something almost like pain. "And he's ruined everything." Ruined? As if I were the glitch in his perfect code. Kids I'd known since kindergarten averted their eyes. Tyler, my so-called best friend, muttered, "Dude, that's messed up," but didn't step up. Alex grabbed my hand, fierce and unyielding. "We gotta go." And we ran, tux tails flapping like white flags of surrender, out into the parking lot where rain had started to slick the asphalt. We drove to the lake in silence, wipers slapping rhythmically, the prom's bass fading to a distant throb. Alex parked, killed the engine, and turned to me, soaked and shivering. "This isn't over, Liam." "Not us." But his voice wavered, and I saw the fracture. The boy who'd crossed state lines for a fresh start, now collateral in my family feud. I wanted to tell him everything, Brian's threats, the basement beatings, the shoebox heart, but words stuck like tar. Instead, I leaned over the console, kissing him with all the desperation of a drowning man. It was salty with tears, urgent but tender, our fingers interlacing like lifelines. The rain drummed on the roof, a private symphony, and for a heartbeat, we were unbreakable. Back home, the real storm brewed. Mom was waiting in the kitchen, face ashen, the group chat open on her phone like an autopsy report. "Liam? Brian? What in God's name?" Dad loomed behind her, fists clenched, the man who'd taught us to throw punches now speechless. Brian burst in after, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the cabinets. "Ask him," he bellowed, pointing at me like I was Exhibit A in his trial. "Ask what your precious little artist's been doing behind our backs." The accusations flew like shrapnel, Brian spinning the video as my deception, me the liar who'd fooled everyone. Mom sobbed into her apron, murmuring about family values and what the neighbors will say. Dad's silence was the loudest, his disappointment a weight that pinned me to the linoleum. I tried to explain, Brian's bullying, the video he'd hoarded like a bomb, but he cut me off with a glare. "Enough. You're grounded. Indefinitely. And that boy? I don't want to hear his name again." Brian smirked from the corner, victorious, but I caught the flicker in his eyes. Guilt, buried deep under layers of macho bullshit. That night, alone in my room, I packed a duffel, sketchbooks, clothes, the mixtape Alex made me. A note to Mom. "I love you, but I can't breathe here." I slipped out the window, gravel biting my palms as I dropped to the lawn, the house lights winking like judgmental eyes. Alex's truck was idling at the corner, headlights off, a shadow in the storm. He didn't ask questions, just pulled me close as we hit the highway, Cleveland's skyline a hazy promise on the horizon. Freedom tasted like exhaust, and rain, bittersweet. But betrayal has a long shadow. 2 days later, holed up in Alex's cousin's basement apartment, musty with old carpet and takeout boxes, my phone lit up with a voicemail from an unknown number. Brian's voice, slurred and small. "Liam? It's me. Fuck, I didn't mean for it to go this far. Dad's pissed at me now too. Says I'm the one who started it. Come home, man. We can fix this. Please." The plea hung there, raw and unfiltered, the entitled brother cracking under his own crown. I deleted it, but it lingered, a hook in my gut. Was it real? Or just another trap? The drive to Cleveland felt eternal. The Ohio Turnpike, a gray ribbon unspooling under tires that hummed like unanswered prayers. Alex's hand rested on my thigh, a steady anchor, but my mind raced laps around the what-ifs. What if Mom had a breakdown, selling houses to fund therapy she couldn't afford? What if Dad's shop folded under the gossip mill's grind? And Brian, God, Brian, what if his fix meant more fists, more videos, more erasure? Penny for your thoughts? Alex murmured, his thumb tracing lazy circles on my jeans, pulling me back to the cab's warmth. Just family, I said, forcing a smile. You know how it is. He snorted, eyes on the road. Yeah, well, my family's more disowned first. Ask questions never. Dad's a cop. He gets it, sorta. Mom sends care packages with extra hot sauce. Like that fixes everything. His laugh was light, but I heard the undercurrent, the miles he'd put between Chicago and here to outrun his own ghosts. We didn't talk much after that, just synced our Spotify to a playlist of The National and Bon Iver, songs about fractured homes and quiet salvations. By dawn, we were crashing on a lumpy futon in his cousin Maria's place. A sassy nurse with tattoos snaking up her arms and a no BS policy on strays. You boys need jobs, not drama, she declared, tossing us Pop-Tarts and bus schedules. Art supply store downtown's hiring. Don't make me regret this. Life in Cleveland was a gritty reinvention. Me stocking canvases by day, sketching buskers on the flats by night. Alex waitering at a dive bar, charming tips out of steelworkers with his grin. We carved out a rhythm. Mornings tangled in sheets that smelled of him. Evenings walking the Cuyahoga River bridges, hands brushing under sodium lamps. It was romantic in that broke-ass, urban way. Picnics on the grass with dollar store wine, stolen kisses in the shadow of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, where icons like Freddie Mercury whispered permission to be loud. One night, after a shift that left us both grease-smeared and giggling, we climbed to the top of a graffiti-covered parking garage, the city sprawling like a neon quilt below. This is us now, Alex said, pulling me against his chest, his heartbeat syncing with the distant train rumble. No more hiding. I wanted to believe it, but Brian's voicemail festered like an untreated wound. Texts trickled in, first from Mom, pleading, "Come home, honey. We can talk. Pastor Ellis says forgiveness is key." Then Dad, "Kurt, your brother's sorry. Get back before you ruin us all." And Brian, sporadic grenades. "Miss you. Bro, remember that time we built the treehouse? Let's do that again." Each one chipped at my resolve, painting him not as the villain but the scared kid who'd idolized me once, before scouts and spotlights warped him. Entitlement had armored him. But what if the outing was his cry for help, a twisted bid to drag me down so he wouldn't drown alone? The high crash came midsummer, heat wave turning the apartment into a sauna of regret. I'd landed a gig illustrating flyers for a local queer youth center. Ironic, given my runaway status, and was deep in a piece. Two figures entwined against a stormy sky, lightning forking like veins. Alex burst in early from his shift, face thunderous, phone clutched like a smoking gun. "Your brother's here," he said flatly, and my stomach plummeted. Brian stood in the hallway, duffel slung over his shoulder, looking smaller than I remembered. Hair unkempt, Eagles jersey swapped for a faded OSUT, eyes shadowed like he'd aged a decade in months. "Liam," he started, voice rough, "I drove all night. We gotta talk." Maria hovered, arms crossed, but Alex shot her a nod. "It's cool." And we ended up on the fire escape, the metal groaning under our weight, city noise a buffer against the raw. "Why?" I demanded. No preamble, the question I'd rehearsed in mirrors. "Why out me like that? To what? Win some popularity points." He winced, lighting a cigarette with shaking hands. "New habit," I noted, the cherry glowing like accusation. "It wasn't. Shit, it was. At first. After I caught you, I was pissed, scared too. What if Dad saw me as weak for not stopping it? Sarah dumped me the next week, said I was toxic. Coach benched me for fighting in the lot." He exhaled smoke in a plume, staring at the skyline. "I thought if I blew it up, made you the villain, it'd go away. Like nuking the evidence." Evidence. The word tasted bitter. Of what? Me loving someone. "Brian, you're my brother. You could have talked to me." He laughed hollow. "Talk. Like you talked to me about any of this? I grew up thinking we were unbreakable, man. Treehouses and dirt bikes. Then boom, you're different. And I'm supposed to just nod? In Elmwood? Dad's already on thin ice with the church crowd. One whisper about the gay son, and we're pariahs. His voice cracked, and for the first time, I saw the boy beneath. Entitled, yes, but terrified. Raised on toxic masculinity like mom's meatloaf. Comforting till it clogged your arteries. We talked till the sun dipped, words tumbling like dominoes. His jealousy of my easy out, my fear of his fists turning fatal, the shared ache of dad's absence, mom's performative piety. I deleted the video, he admitted, flicking the butt over the railing. After prom, when it all hit the fan. But it was too late. I fucked up Liam. Big time. Tears tracked his cheeks. Unashamed. And something in me softened. Not forgiveness, but understanding. The messy, human kind that doesn't erase scars but dulls their edge. He stayed a week, crashing on the futon, awkward but earnest, helping Maria with groceries, tagging along to the youth center where queer kids his age eyed him like a Trojan horse. Alex thawed slow, bonding over pickup basketball in the park, but tension simmered, whispers of trust and relapse. One night, after Brian crashed early, Alex pulled me onto the roof, stars pricking the haze like hesitant confessions. He's trying, he said, but his grip on my waist tightened. But if he hurts you again, he won't, I promised, though doubt not. The romance of our stolen city life felt fragile now, laced with Elmwood's pull, a gravitational tug threatening to yank us back. The decision crystallized on a sweltering August afternoon, Brian and I alone in the apartment, Alex at a double shift. He'd found my sketchbook, open to that prom night drawing. Us on the dance floor, frozen mid-sway, joy captured before the fall. This you? He asked, tracing the lines with a calloused finger. Happy? Yeah, I said, throat tight. Before you torched it. He closed the book gently, unlike before. I want that for you. Here, or back home. Doesn't matter. But I can't fix us if you're gone. It was the closest to an apology he'd come, laced with that Harper stubbornness. And in that moment, staring at the brother who'd broken me, I saw the fork, run forever, or drag the wreckage home and rebuild. The hard choice, the one that'd scar either way. I need time, I told him, but as he nodded and left for a walk, my phone buzzed. Mom, voice frail. Liam, please. Your father's had a heart scare. The stress. Come home. The world tilted, priorities realigning like fault lines. Alex found me later, curled on the futon, and held me through the sobs, his whispers a balm. Whatever you choose, I'm in it with you. We drove back to Elmwood 3 days later, Brian's truck loaded with my duffel and unspoken truces, Alex following in his beater. The cornfields welcomed us like old enemies, the house on Maple Street sagging under summer's weight. Mom enveloped me in lavender and tears. Dad grunted a good to see ya, his color wan but eyes soft. No sermons, no ultimatums, just a family dinner of pot roast and stilted small talk. Brian across the table, foot nudging mine under the formica, a silent, we're good. But peace is a truce, not a treaty. Whispers followed me at school, seniors now, but scars don't fade with grade levels. Tyler cornered me in the lot. Man, that prom shit? Epic fail. But hey, water under the bridge. His slap on my back felt like pity, and I shrugged it off, heading to the art room where Alex waited, easel shared. We painted in tandem, colors bleeding, his bold strokes of crimson, mine tentative blues, creating something raw and real. Brian even showed up once, leaning in the door. Not bad, Picasso. Progress, inch by inch. Yet the high tide of hope crashed on Labor Day weekend, a backyard barbecue masking deeper currents. Dad fired up the grill, burgers sizzling like fragile bonds, neighbors milling with their judgmental smiles. Sarah was there, Brian's ex, now arm in arm with a college boy, her gaze lingering on me like a fresh wound. Heard you had quite the adventure, she cooed, wineglass tilting. Cleveland treating you right? Before I could deflect, Brian stepped in, arms slinging casual over my shoulders. Liam's killing it. Art scholarships and shit. Proud of him. The words landed awkward, protective, but the table hushed. Then Tyler, fucking Tyler, pulled out his phone, A new video circulating, grainy footage from prom, but edited, me and Alex center frame, captioned Elmwood's dynamic duo. Not Brian's doing. He swore it later, white-faced, but someone from his circle, a final jab from the shadows. The party splintered, Mom herding guests inside, Dad dousing coals with a hose that sprayed like suppressed rage. Alex arrived just as the accusations peaked, Brian yelling at Tyler. "You swore it was deleted." Fists clenched but held. I snapped, the dam breaking. "Enough. This isn't about you, Brian. Or Dad's heart, or Mom's gossip. It's about me being gay, and all of you pretending it's a phase to fix." My voice echoed off the fence, raw and reckoning, neighbors peeking through curtains. In the aftermath, as sirens wailed distant for some unrelated drama, we four, me, Alex, Brian, and a shell-shocked Dad, sat on the porch steps, the air thick with charcoal smoke and regret. Mom hovered with iced tea, but it was Brian who broke first. "I started this. The video, the outing. I thought it'd make me normal. But you're the brave one, Liam. Always were." His confession spilled then, full flood. The pressure from Coach, Dad's unspoken expectations, his own buried doubts. Not gay, he clarified quick, but questioning the script he'd memorized. Entitlement's cruel joke, the golden boy, hollow inside. Dad cleared his throat, voice gravel. "I failed you both. Thought providing meant this." He gestured vaguely at the house, the town. "Won't anymore." It was an absolution, but a start. Therapy cards exchanged, promises of church swaps for family nights. Alex squeezed my hand, his presence the romance anchoring the chaos. Love not as fireworks, but steady glow. Fall semester hit like a freight train, leaves turning Elmwood streets to amber veins. But the real colors were in the slow thaw of our fractured home. Brian and I roomed uneasy at first, his snores through the wall a reminder of battles past. But we built bridges from baseball games on TV and shared shifts at Dad's shop, me handing tools while he cursed stripped bolts. "You're shit at this," he'd grumble, but with a grin, the entitlement ebbing like a receding flood. Alex integrated careful. Dinners where Mom quizzed him on his plans, nursing school, bless her, pickup games where Brian passed him the ball instead of elbows. It wasn't seamless. Snide comments from cousins at Thanksgiving, a guidance counselor suggesting reparative resources that Dad shut down flat. But it was ours, a human mosaic pieced from shards. The depth came in quiet moments, the psychological undercurrents that pulled like river weeds. Nights I'd wake sweating from dreams of the basement, Brian's fist a phantom ache, and he'd hear me pacing, knocking soft. "You good, bro?" We'd end up on the roof, our old perch, now with sleeping bags and thermoses of coffee, staring at the Milky Way like it held answers. "I hated you for being free," he admitted once, voice low against the cricket chorus. "Free to feel, I mean. Me? I'm just performing." His vulnerability cracked me open, revealing my own. The fear that love with Alex was borrowed time, that one wrong move, and it'd shatter like Mom's good china. Alex saw it all, his empathy a lighthouse in my fog. We'd escape to the lake on weekends, that dock our talisman, where the water lapped gentle apologies. One crisp October evening, as geese arrowed south overhead, he spread a blanket and unpacked a feast, subs from the diner, his grandma's empanadas smuggled from Chicago. To us, he toasted with root beer, clinking bottles, the sunset painting him gold. We talked dreams, me exhibiting in galleries, him advocating for queer kids in uniform, and fears, his dad's retirement looming, my family's relapse. His kiss was slow burn, hands framing my face like I was porcelain, whispering, "You're my anchor, Liam. Storm or shine." In that embrace, romance bloomed not in grand gestures, but the mundane sacred. The way he memorized my coffee order, left notes in my sketchpad. "You're enough." But conflict brews in complacency, and ours simmered toward boil with Brian's big break. A partial scholarship to Ohio State, scouts buzzing after a playoff run, where he threw for 300 yards. Elmwood threw a send-off bash at the VFW Hall. Streamers in scarlet and gray, punch spiked with something stronger, but under the bunting, tensions coiled. Sarah was there, tipsy and territorial, cornering me by the dessert table. Brian's too good for this small-town soap opera. You know that, right? Dragging him down with your lifestyle. Her words slithered, laced with that old venom, and I fired back. He's choosing his path. Maybe you should try it. She laughed, shrill, and later, as toasts rang out, she slipped something to Tyler. A USB drive, glinting like malice. By midnight, as Brian hugged me fierce, "Don't be a stranger, little bro." The video resurfaced, not edited this time but raw. Our lake moment. Uploaded anonymously to the school forum with a caption tying it to Brian's dysfunctional fam. Chaos erupted online overnight. Posts dissecting our white trash drama. Memes of Brian's jersey photoshopped with rainbows. Coach's curt email pulling his invite to a Buckeye camp. Brian exploded that dawn, storming my room with phone in hand, face a mask of fury. "This you're doing? Payback." The accusation hung, a guillotine blade, and I reeled, betrayal's echo, sharp as the first. "Me? After everything? You're the one who filmed it." We grappled, not with fists but words, years of resentment uncoiling. His fear of losing status, my terror of being the family curse. Alex burst in, pulling us apart. Enough. But the damage spiderwebbed. Brian peeling out in his truck, radio blaring angry country, me collapsing against Alex, sobs racking like aftershocks. The misunderstanding deepened when Mom found the USB in Sarah's abandoned clutch, her fingerprints, her motive, revenge for Brian's rejection, amplified by small-town spite. She confessed tearfully to Dad, who called a tense summit at the kitchen table. Brian slouched in after a night at Tyler's, eyes bloodshot. "It wasn't Liam," Mom said, voice quivering. "It was her. Jealousy." The air thickened, accusations inverting. Brian's guilt crashing over him, my anger fracturing into pity. I thought, "Fuck, I always think the worst of you," he muttered, head in hands. "Because I'm the worst in me." That raw admission was the pivot, the psychological chasm bridged by shared shame. We didn't hug it out Hollywood style. No swelling strings or instant kumbaya. But Brian apologized, halting. "I outed you to feel big. Now I'm small. Teach me how to be better." It was a plea wrapped in pride, and I nodded, throat tight. "Start by believing me." First try. Healing accelerated uneven. Brian confronting Sarah publicly at the gas station. Deleted. Or I tell everyone what you really are. Her blubbering retreat a small victory. He joined me at the youth center, awkward but present, facilitating art sessions where kids drew their truths. Alex and I grew roots, applying to colleges together. Me to CCAD for illustration, him to Case Western for social work. Our love deepening in late-night cram sessions, his head on my lap as I read aloud from Ginsberg. Romance thrived in the tender, a surprise sketch of us as superheroes, capes billowing over the lake. His mixtape updated with our song, "Ho Hey," by the Lumineers, for road trips back from auditions. Yet the climax brewed unexpected, a storm front rolling in November. Dad's checkup revealing not just stress, but early-stage heart disease, the scare, a symptom of arteries clogged by years of silence. "I pushed you boys too hard," he confessed in the hospital waiting room, monitors beeping like metronomes of regret. Thought toughness was love. Wasn't. Brian and I flanked him, hands on his shoulders, united front, and in that sterile light, the final betrayal surfaced. Not Sarah's video, but Dad's own, a grainy VHS from the 90s he'd kept locked in his desk, him and his army buddy, young and laughing in fatigues, an embrace too close for just friends. "Your grandpa found it once," he rasped. "Beat the hell out of me. Swore I'd bury it. But seeing you, Liam, out and proud, made me dig it up." The revelation hit like lightning. Our family's secret legacy, homophobia a mask for hidden hearts. Brian's face crumpled, Dad, and we three Harpers wept, not in shame but release, the cycle cracking under its own weight. Mom, arriving with coffee, joined silently, her hand on Dad's knee. "We all bury things. Time to unearth." Discharge brought change seismic. Dad coming out to the church board, not with fanfare but quiet resolve. "My son's taught me love's not conditional," resigning his deacon spot, but gaining allies in unexpected pews. Brian deferred OSU a semester, working the shop to cover meds, his entitlement traded for empathy. Me? I thrived, My portfolio blooming with pieces of us, fractured brothers mending, lovers under stormy skies, a father unmasked. Christmas Eve, snow blanketing Maple Street like forgiveness, we gathered, Alex included, his family zooming in from Chicago with toasts and tamales. The tree twinkled, ornaments from childhood dangling beside new ones, a rainbow bulb from the center, a football etched with forgiven. Brian raised his mug, to Liam, the real MVP, and we clinked, laughter bubbling true. Later, Alex and I slipped to the dock, boots crunching ice-rimmed shore, the lake a black mirror reflecting stars. We made it, he murmured, gloved hands cupping my face. Kiss warm against winter's bite. No grand vows, just presence, the romantic core, enduring. In Elmwood's quiet heart, we'd forged something human, flawed, fierce, unbreakable. Not a fairy tale, but a testament. Love wins not by magic, but by choosing every scarred day. Epilogues aren't tidy in real life, but ours unfolded like a well-worn novel, pages dog-eared but cherished. Spring thawed the fields, and with it, Elmwood's frost-bitten edges softened. Pride flags fluttering from porches once stiff with judgment. The high school gissé, a swelling with kids who'd watched our implosion and chosen courage over cringe. Brian aced his makeup scout visit, OSU letter in hand, but not without strings, mandatory ally training. His idea, a badge of atonement. Can't lead if I don't listen, he'd say, quoting some TED Talk he'd binged in penance. Watching him evolve, from bully to brother, entitled Echo to earnest echo, stirred a complex brew in me. Pride laced with the ache of what-ifs, the boy he might have been without the town's toxic tilling. Alex and I graduated hand in hand, caps tasseling in the wind off the football field, cheers drowning old jeers. Tyler slunk up post-ceremony, mumbling congrats with eyes downcast. I nodded cool, no bridges burned, but none begged back. College loomed, Columbus for us both, a compromised city pulsing with galleries and grit. Mom threw a send-off brunch, quiches and mimosas on the deck, Dad grilling veggies with a vigor that belied his meds. Proud of you, son, he said, flipping peppers, the words simple but seismic, his coming out a quiet ripple widening circles. He'd started a support group at the VFW. Vets swapping war stories and hidden loves, VHS confessions traded for hope. The drive south was a road trip of revelations. Brian riding shotgun, Alex and me squeezed in the back with duffels and dreams. We detoured to the lake one last time, Doc groaning under 4 sets of boots, fishing poles idle as we swapped tales. Brian's first crush on the cheer squad's brother, Alex's Chicago alleyway kiss fumbles, my basement survival sketches. Laughter echoed over water, healing the echoes of pain, and as dusk fell, Brian clapped my shoulder. You saved us, Liam. Not the other way round. His eyes, once storm-dark, held steady light, a brother's vow, hard-won. Columbus embraced us like a big-shouldered ant. Brick campus abuzz with queer mixers and mural walls begging my brush. Alex dove into advocacy, interning at a crisis hotline, his voice steady for callers echoing my old isolation. Our apartment was a shoebox wonder, exposed brick, thrift store couch, walls papered in my art. Us as silhouettes against cityscapes, intertwined and infinite. Romance deepened in domestic poetry. Lazy Sundays with pancakes and poetry slams, his fingers tracing my spine as rain pattered windows. Whispers of futures woven in we-us. No drama now, just depth, the kind where silences speak volumes, touches translate trust. But human stories loop, conflicts coiling subtle. Brian's freshman slump hit hard, hazing rituals cracking his resolve, a hookup that left him questioning more than labels. He called late one night, voice small across the miles. Liam? It's like, what if I'm not straight? What if Dad's story's mine too? I talked him through it, Alex chiming in with resources, no judgment, just the empathy we'd clawed from our wreckage. He came out fluid that spring, not with parades but potlucks, Mom baking his favorite snickerdoodles in by-pride sprinkles. The town murmured, but fewer pitchforks. Our family's candor had tilled tolerant soil. My own high crested unexpectedly. A gallery show in the short north, shadows and salvations. My pieces raw confessions, basement bruises in abstract oils, dock kisses in luminous watercolors, a triptych of brothers, fractured, fighting, fused. Opening night, the space hummed. Alex beaming by the wine table, proud as any spouse. Brian flying in, arm around a shy poli-sci major named Jordan. Mom and Dad, hand in hand, toasting with sparkling cider. A critic from the Dispatch called it a poignant American odyssey of queer kinship, but the real validation was Brian's quiet. "This is you, bro, unbroken." As confetti swirled, symbolic, from a busted balloon, Alex pulled me into a coat room alcove, kiss fierce and familiar, hearts hammering in sync. "Forever starts now," he breathed, and I believed it. The romantic apex not in beginnings but this, enduring, evolved. Years folded forward. Brian graduating with a social work degree, founding a rural LGBTQ outreach in Elmwood, irony's grace note. Dad retiring to woodwork whirligigs. Mom listing lakefront properties with rainbow welcome signs. Alex and I, married in a backyard ceremony. Ohio's laws catching up. Dockside vows under that same sunset. Fireflies witnesses. No kids yet, but a rescue pup named Harper, tail wagging like perpetual yes. Looking back, from the vantage of 30, the bullying feels like ancient geology, layers of hurt pressed to strength. Brian's entitlement was the spark, the outing the blaze, but we emerged phoenix forged, a family not perfect, but profoundly human. In America's heartland sprawl, where corn whispers secrets to wind, we learned love's true drama isn't the fall, but the fierce, flawed rise. And on quiet nights, sketchpad open, I draw us still, brothers bridged, lovers linked, a legacy of light from the longest shadows.